Yeah. That's not loud enough. It's that same spot. Woo!
Good enough.
It's good enough. It's
Rewind.
You know, it's good enough for the people that I'm around.
What's up, our folks? What's up, our testing normal friends?
Testing normal.
Hey
Normal.
guys, welcome back to episode 68.
Woo.
This is Curtis.
This is Jordan.
This is a podcast where we talk about everything we want to.
This is just a night where we said the same thing over and over again. You can't even remember.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
For sure. Well, guys, it has been quite a week, and it's actually been. Has it been 2 weeks since we've been back on? There's been a lot of.
Some unexpected things happened, and
Yeah, it's just life. A lot of family events, a lot of COVID events, a lot of work events. So, coming to you a little bit late, but still excited to be talking to you guys.
Whoa, my volume's on.
How's your week been, dude?
It's good.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's been a whirlwind. I had most of last week, not last week, the week before off, kind of in between, and a lot of family was here. That's why we were not doing this, because we ended up at the coast, which was weird with COVID.
How was it weird?
Well, just all the restrictions and where, what you can do at the hotel, all the pool was closed down. Then we went to the beach. So we go to the beach, downtown Lincoln City, Oregon. And the next day I get an email saying, hey, by the way, don't go to such and such a beach, which is where we were, because there's feces in the water. Don't let your kids play in it. And yeah.
Did they specify what type of species this was?
They just said there was fecal matter.
Oddly vague.
I know.
Was there a giant blue whale?
Yeah, did a whale get into the lake, or because it was a little river that comes through there, and that's what they said had it in it, and that's literally what my kids played in.
Well,
it's the shortest river in the world.
And you were wondering why they had such a bad rash.
Yeah, well, actually, one of them did get kind of sick that night, and they were fine by the next day.
And you're and they did smell like shit.
Yeah,
I wasn't
sure
did. Why.
I'm like, what are you eating?
You're not wiping? What's going on? Man?
It actually, it probably got infested because of my kids and or nephews and nieces.
It was a result of your family why they had the statewide alert.
Yeah, the statewide alert of please don't put your skin on this water. And we're like, oh, you mean the water our kids were drinking? Perfect.
Great.
That's just splendid. Couldn't have said that a day earlier, huh?
Yeah, seriously. Dude. Oh my gosh. So, I don't know. I was thinking about some of the crazy stuff that was going on this week, and I was just kind of relaxed and trying to chill. And, you see a video every now and then of something crazy that's going on in the world, and you think, you're like, that's a cool video, but not that impressive. Something crazy that happens, like an explosion or someone falls or something like that. You're like, that's cool, but it's not that. It doesn't commute to real life as well.
Right.
Dude, I want you to pull up a video.
Okay.
If you can.
We'll see if my computer will do it.
It should be the very top link that I have on here.
Okay.
And this is kind of hitting the news because it just happened today.
Okay.
But it's the very top link. Yep. The dig one.
The dig one.
Mm-hmm.
You're still just really pushing the dig thing. Huh?
Lebanon, dude, it's my go-to.
Where's the video? Oh no.
Yep, there's multiple videos. So okay, don't do that one. Don't do that one.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, you can do that one. I don't care. Yeah,
this one?
No, do the. Okay, that's a great one too. Do the top one first.
Hang on.
Okay.
I gotta share it to the computer first.
Yeah. So guys, this video, what this is going to show here in a second is a wild.
The top one first?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you want it big or?
Yes.
Kind of a personal question, but
that's what she said.
Yeah.
So this is a really big
let's see.
Explosion, guys, that takes place in Lebanon or Lebanese, Beirut.
Let's see if it plays very well.
Okay. Take a picture.
It's not playing very clear on this.
Oh no! Okay, you can't see that clear on your side. Maybe are you watching it clear on your iPad?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so while you watch
replay
that,
what the?
Okay, so that's the first explosion that you see.
That was freakishly
Go to the third video. Yeah, that
third video.
So what it looks like, guys, is it's just this kind of pretty large warehouse, and there was this first explosion that kind of sent the small mushroom kind of
cloud
up into the sky.
It looks like a golf tee almost.
But then the second one, it
man.
literally looks like a nuke goes off in the city.
I think it did, except that person would be dead.
You guys look online right now. Go to the Beirut Lebanese explosion. Okay.
So was that
terrible.
the same place, just from different angles?
Yeah, because there was a first explosion that everybody's
Okay.
like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" And then the second explosion was this massive like ripple, like it
That's
basically
wild.
it grays out the entire city instantly with the ripples of the percussion wave.
So what happened?
So the Lebanese prime minister said that around 2,700 tons
Yeah.
of ammonium nitrate,
Yeah.
which is usually used for like fertilizer,
Okay.
had been stored there for 6 years, and they said they weren't using proper safety measures when they were storing it.
Clearly. Yeah.
But the original explosion,
I
like it was
store
something.
my ammonium nitrate in a really well sealed underground bunker.
Yeah, that's interesting. I use Tupperware.
Tupperware.
Mostly Tupperware.
You should switch to Snapware. They sell it at Costco and sometimes it's going on sale. And it's glass. It's a little more reusable and everything. And it probably would eat through it less.
That's true. The eating through factor would be helpful.
You're welcome. You can
Yeah.
take that. That's tips free, folks.
That'll save me a lot of money.
Yeah, it should.
But yeah, it's kind of a bummer though. It's super sad. Basically, they're saying about 100. They're not exactly, the numbers aren't precise, but they're saying
Right.
between 70 and 100 dead.
That's it.
Around,
That's good.
around 4,000 seriously injured.
I'm not like disappointed that more people didn't, but it seems like that would have. I mean, the people in some of those shots look like they were being hit by quite the shockwave.
And they said, and this is preliminary numbers, right? So they
Right.
know for sure at least those numbers are dead.
True.
4,000 were seriously injured.
That
4,000
makes more sense.
Quite a bit in that
I
radius.
guess if it was like an industrial area, that wouldn't be as densely populated. If it
Right.
went off like downtown,
Yeah.
residential.
But I think that's one of the biggest explosions I've seen outside of like a nuclear explosion.
Yeah, some of the nuclear tests are pretty amazing, but they're like in the ocean. They're not. You don't see
Right.
buildings around them.
Yeah, exactly.
Dang.
Yeah, wasn't that wild?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So is that the craziest thing you've seen all week, or is there like a headline or something that stood out to you this week?
Oh no. I mean, there's always a bunch of crazy things, but like the craziest video that I've seen that I was like, dude, that's nuts.
Yeah. So there's the thing I've been pondering all day. Okay, we'll just jump right into politics.
Oh my gosh.
I saw this tweet and I laughed because I still find it funny that we have a president that tweets as much as he does from his toilet. Because I presume that's where a lot of this comes from. Otherwise, somebody would stop him.
His throne.
He's got to be on the toilet going, "Oh, I know what I'm going to say."
Nobody can catch me right now.
And they're like, "Oh crap! Is the president? Did someone leave him with his phone?" And then he tweets this thing about mail-in voting, delaying the elections because it's going to be wildly, like, inaccurate and easy to hack, essentially.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, that's weird because I love mail-in voting. I love absentee ballots in Oregon.
Oregon does it.
No, I know we do it, and I don't think there's ever been like that I can recall like any large controversy or anything over it. The ones that have are the ones where they set the punch the hole through and all that, the hanging chads and all that kind of stuff from the yesteryear. But he posts this, and then there's like these like it was the state. I can't remember where it was. There's a whole mega thread now on Reddit of all the different things that have been said about this absentee ballots.
Yep.
And there was a state that he tried to sue for passing a law to do absentee ballots. I can't remember what state it was now, Arizona or something like that, or maybe Nevada. Anyway, they're trying to do like basically the same thing Oregon does, and I'm like, that's not a big deal. Like, why? And it seems like looking at the different states, this state had passed it, and it's going to go through mostly because of the whole coronavirus thing, and it's got like no Republican support, which I don't get. I tried to find like a reasonable answer as to why the Republicans would be against or scared of absentee ballots nationwide.
I've actually done a little bit of research on this.
I was hoping you had.
Yeah.
Because I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, I love it. I love the freedom of it. I don't want to go wait in the lines. Probably shouldn't wait in lines right now.
Agreed. It's interesting. So there are, like you said, several states that have done it.
Mm-hmm.
And actually several very conservative states have done it as
Right.
well. Montana actually is a really interesting example of it.
Well, it's because they have 4 hours to the nearest spot to vote.
Mhm.
Like,
and they were they actually had one of the highest as far as like the population within their state.
Right.
So the percentiles,
Mm-hmm.
they had the highest percentile of people actually voting in their previous election.
That makes sense
Because
you
they
don't
did
have to
the
make
mail-in
this
ballots.
time to.
And so a lot of state governors are responding to this, especially conservative state governors are responding to this in the respect of saying, hey, the president has his concerns about the potential abuse of someone just going and filling out a form
Right.
or filling out forms for other people
Yeah.
and then getting false kind of data in
Yeah.
or false results. But
Go to the app.
for our
we
states,
talked about this before.
for our states, it works.
Yeah.
And it's proven to work.
Yeah.
And so that's what a lot of these governors are saying, that especially conservative governors saying, hey, it works for our state, so we should keep doing it.
Yeah. Not to mention like the entire military does it.
Now, an interesting kind of study that took place was, or not study, but example, was in the state of Georgia.
Okay.
So they did a open, you could report to the voting stations,
Right.
or you could do a mail-in option.
Right.
And that election actually, I think it was last year. It was like just a
Set records.
It was like I don't know if it was for a mayor or governor or what it was for exactly. But they had a big controversy over it because essentially they were running, it seemed like, 2 elections
Right.
for the same thing, for the same voting. And so basically the people that ran the election were overwhelmed. They said, we can't handle doing the mail-in and people coming in person. We don't have the resources for that.
Was it just because there were more people, or that seems like a weird excuse? Like,
well, they didn't have enough. Yeah, they didn't have enough support. So basically, It was like, we have enough people and manpower to handle one or the other.
This is really kind of funny because the people have said like we need nationwide absentee ballot, which I'm totally in favor of. I'm also in favor of like ranked voting too. Let's just run both of them through and let's do all that. So we can pick whoever we want and then pick our seconds and thirds. And
yeah, that is kind of cool.
But
wait, what do you mean nationwide absentee ballot?
So like just all states go to mail-in ballots.
Right.
So
okay.
it's considered absentee ballots, like in Oregon. That's how they run it.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you are registered to vote, they just send you a ballot, like automatically.
Yes.
You get your driver's license and you register to vote, and they just send it to you. Like,
but absentee makes you think like you wouldn't.
It does,
be there, so
but because everyone isn't at the polls, they just it's considered.
Gotcha.
Like, it's like an absentee ballot. It's the same exact thing, essentially.
Yeah, I think that it is a reasonable way of voting, and especially in this current state of the world.
That was what I was going to say. Is like the USPS is like, we are ramped up and ready to go. And I was laughing because we had just watched the Seinfeld episode where Kramer tries to take down the postal service, and he gets caught, and the postmaster general flies to New York and skips his golf game to like threaten him in a room.
Right. Yeah. That's actually a good episode.
Yeah. And they're like, we know that you don't need us.
Yeah.
And like goes through this whole thing. And I'm like sitting there laughing. I'm like, yeah, it's because you're not doing anything else. Like you're just delivering junk mail and now you'll get ballots. Good job. Like,
it does seem like FedEx and UPS
Amazon has their own shipping service. Like they have their
Yeah.
own trucks and delivery service in most cities now.
It's mostly bills. I think it's junk mail and bills.
It's junk mail and bills. But
what?
a lot of bills can go paperless and you just get them in your email.
Like when was the last time, dude, honestly, when was the last time you wrote somebody a letter?
Oh, a long time ago. Although I did fill out a form for a car today because it was too past expired and I have to actually mail it in. So if I had mailed that in, I would say today. But I haven't, so I don't know. But soon I will be a participant in the U.S. Postal Service.
It does seem like in the majority of cases, most things have become obsolete for mailing. Like I think everything should be pretty much online or electronic or email. Right. There is a degree of safety, I guess, with mail. As far as like, it seems like it's more difficult to send a fraudulent letter than an email, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of mail scams though. So
yeah. I mean, I had this super nice guy from Nigeria. He was sending me these letters.
Yeah, no, I've talked to the same guy.
Yeah. Oh, you did too?
Yeah.
Wait, he didn't tell you about the secret
treasure
thing,
he told me only a few people were in on it.
Shh.
Okay,
we'll
yeah.
talk
this is live.
offline.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. We'll catch up on that later. Wait, how much did you invest?
Isn't everything right?
He just
That's
all in?
All in.
I said, yeah, let's go for gold.
Let's go for gold. Seriously. Well, he's gonna send me. I have to send him gold to get gold.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes total sense.
Because the trunk is super heavy, so you need some extra money for the shipping.
Right, but there's a return. He has to have your gold to attach his gold to.
Naturally.
To give it back. So you send in multiple gold bars to get back bigger gold bars.
Exactly.
Or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Total sense. Dude,
Yeah.
okay, actually, the craziest thing that I can't understand how the entire world is not talking about this right now.
Okay, yes. Okay, I know exactly what you're going to talk about. We've had this conversation because
I need
should have happened last week.
Hold on, let me open this other door so it's a little cooler in here.
Oh, you're feeling it?
This
Yeah.
topic, though, gets me hot.
Okay, yeah. So this is going to get him hot because Bob Lazar is back in the news again. And for those of you who know who Bob Lazar is, they did an amazing documentary. That's super fun. Was it on Netflix or Prime?
Yeah,
or
it's on Netflix and Prime.
It's on Netflix and Prime, and it's called Area 51 or Bob Lazar.
Just look at Bob Lazar.
Yeah, just look up Bob Lazar. It's like Area 51 and Flying Saucers or something like that.
Now, the movie starts off incredibly cheesy.
It does. Yeah.
Incredibly cheesy.
But how many documentaries don't?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
this one definitely does.
Yeah, for sure. It's about aliens, though. So, and UFOs and,
So Bob Lazar,
S4 and
we've talked about him
Element
before. We've actually
115
done a
and-
podcast talking about Bob Lazar.
Yeah,
The whole
absolutely.
documentary. I think we did a podcast talking about the entire documentary.
Probably. It's delightful. It's fun.
But anyways, he was a physicist who worked at Area 50, which was just south of Area 51.
Yeah, S4 is what it was called.
Yeah, and he basically was blacklisted by the government.
You can't even find that he was born.
Yeah, they took
Like
away his all of his diplomas. Basically, they expunged all of his history working at all these different research facilities.
But he has
and
stuff
colleges.
from them and proof that he did.
Yeah,
and
they still
proof
have
he was
his
in places
name
and
in their phone directory.
clearly, he has a mother. She can confirm that he is alive and
Right.
born.
So, anyways, a lot of the things he was talking about, everybody was saying, he's just trying to get attention, whatnot. But recently, there's been some very interesting movement by
Yes.
the government that has been shaking people and waking them up to the possibility that there is some evidence for extraterrestrial presence or some type of technology that's not from this world.
They've declassified some videos of things that have flown around that they're like, this is something else.
Yeah.
And they've said, we're going to be more transparent about this. Now, I haven't seen anywhere that said there's a date that they're going to start to be more transparent or anything like that, but that some leadership shifted.
Here's what happened.
Good.
In March this year. March of this year.
So it ties in with COVID-19.
Mm-hmm. The New York Times started a investigatory kind of story.
Perfect.
With the Pentagon and not the DEA, the DOD, Department of Defense.
Yes, that's right.
And they started to ask, why do we have these federal tax dollars going to this Navy program that is studying extraterrestrial or UFO sightings if it's not
Can
real.
I guess their response?
Yeah.
They just said, super good question.
They said, great question. We'll get back to that.
Yeah.
So, but the interesting thing was when they asked the government, when they asked officials, they said, oh, we're not doing that. That's been shut down, actually. We're not doing that anymore. But
you did.
There was a
Even if you're still doing it.
Right.
You were. That's
they
weird.
Were. So it was I believe June, there was a congressional hearing over government spending.
Yeah.
And
it came up.
Yep. Several members of Congress saw that there was this program that was still active and there was millions of dollars going to it. And
that's not a whole lot of money.
I don't know exact amount. But
trillions, guys. Trillions were going to this program.
A lot of.
You heard it here first.
A lot of green bucks.
Yeah.
So
lots of dollars.
Congress asked, they said, so why is this money going to this government program if it's shut down?
Right.
And they said, actually, it's not shut down.
Actually, super good question.
Good question. We'll get back to that. They said, actually, it's not shut down, and we still are investigating unexplained aircraft and unexplained technology that we don't understand. So the Congress said, well, if we're funding this, it has to be information has to be publicly released about it, and your discoveries have to be publicly released. And they said at least a certain amounts has to be released if it's not going to be harmful to the state. And so the New York Times then got a hold of this congressional hearing and started talking with people that were involved in this program. And one of the top researchers, the New York Times was actually able to get a hold of. And he said, let me find the quote.
I'm so glad that you found more about this, because I did a little bit and I was like, this sounds cool, but I just am not finding anything yet. But I'm glad it's like the New York Times that's doing it. Like,
yeah,
at least they're covering something
seems
cool
like there's
for
a little
moment.
bit more credibility, I guess you would say.
Well, it's just someone you know. It's not like you like click on something and it's like live link. And like, oh, that's not a person or a thing. It's just a bot.
So they're talking about this program, and one of the lead researchers, he is on record stating that they, through this program, retrieved materials that are not made on this Earth.
Right.
And possibly include entire spacecraft.
Possibly.
Yeah.
That means that it does, and that means that Bob Lazar was right, and that means that they ruined his life for zero, and they should have just given him a medal.
Yeah, it's wild. So they're saying like this material could not be made on this Earth, and later on it's going to say we don't have the technology to create this material. So they don't know who made it. And I guess, like, you know, to be real, there could be a discovery from another country like Russia or China that is so far advanced that we couldn't understand it and we can't reverse engineer it and we can't figure out how it's made. I guess that could happen, but
not super likely though. I mean, it
seems unlikely.
Yeah. I mean, it could be like one thing if it was like, oh, they improved upon the airplane, you know, like in wars, you know, it's like, oh, they have a different type of alloy that's stronger and more like, you know, stands up to our bullets a little bit better.
Right.
But it's not like oh my gosh, they got a gravity drive.
But how wild is it?
Even when countries didn't have jets, they knew what they were.
How wild is it though that basically, essentially, the government, this official is admitting there is materials that have been made, possibly spacecraft materials, that
possibly
is not
entire spacecraft,
this planet,
right?
That could not be made on this Earth. We don't have the ability or technology to create that material.
Well, they might
on
have been
planet.
made here, and we have the resources. We just don't know which ones make it.
Maybe, yeah. Well, I think I listened to an interesting, I think it was an NPR episode or something about it, and they were talking about how the material, if it could not be made on this planet, there must be potentially the need to have some type of zero gravity for the material to be created. And that's like, okay, I guess they could spy or go up to the space station and do something, you know, create it on space station, or I don't know. I mean, how many of us know what's going on in space?
Right.
None of us.
Though, if you had control over gravity, like Bob Lazar talks about, you would be able to make it.
Yeah. Bob Lazar actually has several.
What if that was so remember how they were saying like they couldn't, element 115, they couldn't ever stabilize, yada, 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 but they had this stabilized element 115, according to him. What if it took the gravity drives that they had, like powering them up with something else to make the element 115 that then provides more power for the other things?
Chicken or the egg?
Well, not necessarily. It's just like the gravity drive could be powered with something else for a short bit to help make the power source to power it for longer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's
like we mine with, you know, fuel to get into the ground, or other types of energy to get in the ground to dig up more energy. Like the same idea.
It's crazy to think that the government would spend so much resources as well researching or trying to track down.
Can you imagine as a government though, like you're like, we have a spacecraft. Like, you what?
I know.
Like, how do we defend against that? I don't know. We can barely get out of our atmosphere. We've put so much junk into our atmosphere. We can barely get up there. Like, the smartest guy we have is a guy that makes fun of people on Twitter and keeps getting in trouble for supposedly messing with his stocks. And he wants to go to Mars. And we don't want to let him because we have no other options but to use his shiny spaceships if something happens.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. You know, I think it's interesting, too. I think what could be happening is the government might be doing what's called a slow burn, slow release.
Yeah. They're like, actually, we all are aliens.
Well, we are to some degree, to somebody. But it's like a form of sensory adaptation. So like you walk into a room, if there's just a little bit of smell of poop, it's okay.
Yeah. You're like, maybe someone stepped in
You can
poop.
handle a little smell of poop. But if it's like, and then we can handle a little bit more smell of poop.
I love
now, a
this
little
is
bit
your
more,
example.
A little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more.
Yeah.
And to the point where you just get acclimated to it and it's not overwhelming.
Yeah. Most people would just use like the frog in the pot or the crab in the pot boiling.
No.
Not you.
I have a lot of poopy
Someone stepped in.
I got
Someone.
I got plenty of poopy diapers in my house.
Someone pooped on the coats.
It's more like the carpet.
Yeah.
Or like they had a poopy diaper.
That was a Dane Cook reference.
And they crawled over.
Yeah, for the 2 weeks he was famous.
Yeah. I miss his comedy runs.
Where is he?
Dude, he's still around. He kind of blew up, like physically.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
got
fat?
in bad shape. Yeah.
Really? He was like pretty fit.
He wasn't too bad.
Huh.
Yeah. So guys, look it up. Aliens. Well, it's looking kind of convincing right now. It's pretty wild stuff.
So the next craziest thing that I saw this week that I was like, wait, what? Is I was talking to a friend and he was talking about his daughter using TikTok and I was like, dude,
yeah, TikTok's
bad news. So then like the next day I'm reading, through Reddit and everything.
I'm curious how many of you out there actively use TikTok? It's interesting.
Yeah, seriously, please don't.
It's interesting.
But an Engadget article comes out and it says like basically Trump is trying to ban TikTok and he hasn't yet. I mean, not that it would be him, but he is in favor of it. I am too at this point. But then Microsoft says, we're working on a deal to buy TikTok and we will revamp it, keep the platform what it is and be more transparent while still remaining secure with what the app is doing. So they see some potential in what TikTok has done, clearly, because there's eyeballs.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing with Microsoft. They do not have a great track record.
They do not.
Of social media and social
So the other thing they
programs.
don't have a great track record with is buying things and making them work.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I can't actually, if you can think of a product that they have purchased and it has worked.
Well, did they acquire Skype?
Yes.
Right. And there was a little bit of upgrades I kind of liked.
So
Skype.
they bought it because they're rebranding their business side of things. So you could make an argument that they are actually getting there with that because they saw it as a potential.
Right, but they've taken a long time.
They have. They've taken a very long time. They're integrating it into the newer version of Office 365 and all that. So I would say that is one product that they are actually potentially going to do something good with the name, at least, but it's going to be rebranded called Teams. But I can't think of, they bought like, they bought Danger back in the day. It was like this, it was those gray flip phones that had the keyboard on them.
Oh yeah.
And like T-Mobile, I think, sold them in the beginning, and it was really big actually with the deaf community would have them because they were the first phones that had like a full keyboard on them. They could text, and they had a texting service built into them because then that actually had to happen. Anyway, big old phone. They bought it, never went anywhere. They tried to put out a phone, and it died within like 9 months. They just
well, even Microsoft phones, like even their current phones, not great.
Yeah, they switched them over to running Android, and then they stopped making them altogether.
Yeah, not great. Not great.
Yeah, their Windows Phone OS was terrible. But they didn't buy that. They made that.
So all that to be said, though, there is an interesting concept to this. So a U.S. company would buy TikTok, and would stop some of the concerning practices that have been found with the Chinese-based company that owned TikTok.
So, which is funny because TikTok isn't legal to use in China.
It's not?
It's not. Or Hong Kong.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could use it, say, with like a VPN or something.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But that kind of brings up like something I was looking at this week as well, which is how China handles some of their stuff, where they're creating like a real ID system. So think like you have to approve your ID, your name, your date of birth, and who you are to play an online game for kids.
Oh, wow.
And the reason they're doing it is because they want to control how much the kids can play and all that. And they're required. So all video. I didn't realize until I was reading. Yeah.
The government?
Yes.
What?
I did not realize until I was reading this that they also have required for a while that all companies that have games that are coming into the country, whether it be mobile or PC or through like consoles, were actually illegal until recently You
No.
couldn't. Yes.
China?
Yes.
They had PlayStations forever there.
They would smuggle them. They could not, like consoles were not. No, I watched the thing on it. They would get around it by building PCs that looked like consoles that had windows on them that played like console games that were only available in China. Yeah.
Oh my God, I had no
they
idea.
they had super big restrictions. So anyway, they have to submit their entire game to the government to be looked at for how they monetize it.
Well, and they don't want propaganda. They're all big about that too.
Yeah, but now they're going to be required when they submit this to the government to include this Real ID system. So I was like, what? And then like in the middle of this article is like how kids are getting around the already like the games that are adopting this ID system, and they're going and getting like their grandparents' IDs.
Nice.
And setting up accounts as their grandparents.
Good for them. Good for them. Don't let the government control. That's insane.
And it's like different for the weekdays versus the weekend. Like on the weekend, they get 2.5 hours a day.
Oh, interesting.
And like during the week, it's like
an hour.
It's 30 minutes or an hour. It's pretty low during the week.
Yeah, I can't imagine that actually working. Also, with all their video game bars, right? They have what are they called?
Well, so that's another way the kids get around it, but they're trying to like loop those in and require that people use Real ID there as well.
That's gonna suck for those businesses.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Isn't
it?
Dude. But that's how they handle. It's just so funny to me, like the absolute stark contrast between like they have this company that's basically data mining the U.S. They're super okay with it doing it to us, but when it comes to their own people, they're like micromanaging children. And they want to know exactly who they are and make sure that they aren't doing something that they shouldn't be doing.
Dude, speaking of children, interesting. Disney is kind of shaking things up lately.
Yeah, you were saying this.
Yeah, they apparently lost over $5 billion during this pandemic. And a lot of that was from they have hotels, Disney hotels
and Disneyland,
Disney World, Disney, activities. There's a bunch of
Disney Afternoon.
Yeah, a bunch of facets to their losses.
Did you watch Disney Afternoon when you were a kid?
I didn't have cable as a kid.
It wasn't cable.
Wasn't it?
No, I didn't have cable either.
How'd you watch it?
On broadcast over the air TV.
Oh no! See, I only had 3 channels, maybe 4.
It just came on
mostly fuzzy
channel
ones.
12. Or
did you have clear pictures, or was it your super fuzzy?
I mean, it was as clear as you would get back then, but
no.
we only had 4 or 5 channels.
This is how bad my TV was growing up as a kid. I had super fuzzy TV. I had a good, Rob.
Super good description. So
Rob
far.
Rooney, okay.
Yeah.
He would come over and I would put on a show something ridiculous like Wishbone or something like that, which I loved.
Yeah.
But
of course.
he would look at the TV and he literally couldn't see the picture. He'd be like, dude, I can't see it. I'm like, no, can't you see it? I had acclimated my eyes to picking up the pixelated
and you could sit
animal.
at an angle, and if you put a sheet in front of your face and went like this, you could see it. No,
it's so funny though. He literally could not make out the picture.
Ours was not that fuzzy. It wasn't clear, but it was.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Definitely analog TV back in the day, but.
So yeah, that was a funny kind of situation.
So they're putting more movies on there.
So yeah, Disney now is going to be doing multiple pay-per-view releases.
Okay, cool.
For their movies. So
how much they're going to cost? Does it say?
That's a great question.
Because I know that some of the movies,
and you only can watch them on Disney Plus.
You could pay-per-view through Apple TV or whatever. And it was $20 for theater movies.
Yep. So, they're going to add some direct-to-release movies.
Right.
One of the biggest ones is on the block coming up here pretty soon. I think September 4th. Yeah, September 4th is Mulan, the Mulan movie.
Really?
Yeah, and it's going to be $30.
That's not bad.
$30. $30.
So I'd heard on that same thing, and I don't have a link for this, and I can't remember the exact amount of time, but they had shortened the amount. Remember how when we were kids, movies would be in the theater, you wouldn't go, and you'd have to wait a year for it to come out on DVD, or not DVD, VHS back then, and they have to make sure it wasn't out of stock somewhere or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it was a year cycle,
right.
And it's shortened. I think it's down to 3 months now, or it was.
It seems so long.
Well, they're shortening it again, and I can't. It was either 27 days or 17 days.
After theater.
Yeah, it's a ridiculously short number now, and they did it at least temporarily.
Sorry,
that's cool. It's fine. It's fine. It's not going to be any. It's not going to be a lot quieter.
Okay.
So It's ridiculously shorter, and they're doing it through this because they're like, well, this was the release date for it, and because some cities they're able to do limited showings and at the scheduled theater time that they were going to do, and so they're like, well, not everyone can go see it. If it's a cycle of 3 months, we play it for this 2 months while everyone's here.
That makes sense.
And then it's another 3 months before anyone else can even go buy the video or rent it or anything. They're like, that's too long. So I think it's 17 days now. It's ridiculously short, whatever it is.
Well, I'm curious if theaters, like, are theaters, I know there's like little theaters, but are main theaters opening back up?
No.
Have you heard any plans for that?
No.
Interesting.
So like the one here in town that we're in did.
small.
But it did it with second runs. And they've replayed like through some of the Star Wars movies, and they did.
Are they limiting the number of people that can
Yes.
come into it attendance wise? Are they doing like blocking off certain rows, or did they?
I believe so, and I think that the reason that they can get away with it in other places is because they classify it as a restaurant too.
Oh,
because they serve food.
Well, but every other theater does as well.
Yeah, but it's not like serve you food, hamburgers, whatever. It's like snacks. So it's not. So like they don't have like burgers, hot dogs, fries, like a whole menu.
Interesting.
So I think that's how some of these second little ma pa ones are kind of getting away with it.
That's fascinating.
Like
Yeah,
that's what I suppose, because they did it. They did it pretty quick.
I mean, I'm a fan of this stuff just coming direct to people. Honestly,
I am too. I like it.
It's gonna be what's really gonna be interesting.
I like the theater experience for some things, but I don't think every movie warrants it.
Absolutely,
anymore.
There's definitely movies that are really enjoyable to have your entire periphery filled up.
So like new Star Wars movie comes out. Clearly, I want to see it on big screen, whether you like it or not. Like, whether it's a crappy Star Wars movie or not, I'll watch a crappy Star Wars movie any day of the week in the theater.
Even though a lot of people wouldn't agree with this, I think it's fun to see scary movies in a theater.
Yeah, I do too.
Because
it's the experience of other people.
Yeah, and it's more of you're in a new environment, so you're not in the comfort of your home.
Right.
You know, you have a bit more of exposure.
Right.
It's enjoyable.
Yeah, and you got this big dark room. You have no control over the lights. Like you can't turn on the lights like we do.
You can't
when we
change
watch
this
scary movies
volume.
or whatever.
You can't turn the volume up and down.
Speaking of like audiences with people in them, did you see what the NBA is doing?
I mean, I know that. No. If there's something that's
so they're teaming up with Microsoft Teams.
Oh no, not again.
Yes, and they have built like 17-foot tall screens around the courts because July 30th they started back up again the season. And
the VR audience?
No, close. They are inviting 320 fans per game to join via the Microsoft Teams app, and it cuts out their face, kind of like it fades the background, and puts them on the screen. Also, their voices come through, so that as the players are playing, it sounds like an audience and crowd watching them play.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I was like, but only 320? I guess 17-foot screens are probably fairly spendy.
That's a pretty big screen, too.
Dude, it's not just like one. It's all the way around.
That doesn't make sense to have that big of a screen.
Well, it's because they have a face for each person, and they're real-sized faces like they would be sitting in the seats.
But no person is 17 foot.
No. It's this person, then a person below them, person below them, person below them.
Oh, okay.
So like they fill out the whole screen.
Oh, okay.
So it's a full audience.
One screen is
17
not per
feet high
gotcha.
of bleachers, basically.
I gotcha.
And they're all real sized.
Are they using a projector?
No. It's a screen. It's LCDs. Enormous. Yeah. Can you imagine what that costs? I have no idea.
Wild.
Yeah.
So are they doing that for the players, or are they doing that for the audience?
Both, I think, to kind of garner like some attention. That I couldn't find if they were charging people. I think they just invited them. I think they're kind of trying to ramp it up as a maybe people will pay for this option, because they give they showed like the angles that they give and stuff, and it's like the people watching are still in there, but the view that they see is like from their seat,
dude.
It will change to the view of like the players.
This is the perfect time to be implementing more VR in live games.
Yeah,
and
this is more like AR.
I'm shocked they haven't done more of that.
And it makes sense because everyone's got the item in their pocket that can do it.
Yeah.
So they don't have to go out and buy a VR headset and all that kind of stuff.
That's true.
It puts them into a real life situation, and apparently they can hear the stuff going on around them too. in the app. So you could hear the audience in the crowd just like you would if you were there.
That's interesting.
But it's up to 320 people at this point.
Yeah, that's a pretty dope
Yeah.
approach. I like that. AR. Yeah, that is AR. You're right. Interesting. Dude,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
I thought it's a cool creative thing. We'll see where it goes. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway.
Dude, I think that's we got.
Well, there's one other thing. There's some other cool things, but like Best Buy's, Target, and all them are closing down Thanksgiving Day. I thought it was a bigger deal than it was just for COVID. But did you see that GMC teased the 1,000 horsepower Hummer truck and SUV?
Okay, so I did hear a little bit about.
They haven't
but
said
they
anything.
didn't like. They didn't. They just like this.
They're going to
little
show
light
more
rumor.
this fall.
But honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Hummers. But
if it was electric,
if it was
and quiet,
electric, right?
and did 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. That's what they're claiming.
Yeah, that would change things.
Yeah, I know. I was like, same boat as you.
Yeah, essentially it's the same thing. It'd be the same thing as a Cybertruck then.
Essentially, except it would be an SUV. So the Hummer would be, potentially a 7-seater.
Right, but with the
out of
Cybertruck,
box.
people want to have a pickup where they have a bed.
Yeah, except like the Hummer, because my dad, it's the H2 is what it is. My dad had one of those for a while, and it has like a back, kind of like my Suburban. It's basically a Yukon frame, is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
And you could get the third row, and
I remember riding in the back.
but it would be like for a big family and everything, a fast electric car that can hold everyone and stuff and gear and has a rack on the top.
Interesting.
And it could pull.
It's kind of cool. I like seeing the trend towards electric.
I do too.
Makes me
I was
happy.
watching a web cartoon this week, and he was like, "Yeah, it's good. We're gonna make the truck solar." And he goes, "Oh, they're scared of solar." And the guy goes, "What is he, Republican?" I was like, that's a funny joke. I don't like to like stereotype different spots because I don't know what camp I fall into. It just depends on the issue. But it does seem like a lot of Republicans are afraid of solar power.
Did you have the picture that I sent you? It was dude, there are so many funny Karen jokes out right now.
There are.
There's so here's the funny thing about the joke of Karen.
It works.
It works, and it almost is always applicable. It almost always makes sense.
Yeah.
And I feel bad because like when I see somebody
Yeah.
and their name is Karen, I'm like, oh yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
I do know a Karen that wouldn't resonate with that, but
Yeah.
there are a lot of Karens. Or
But generally
it doesn't have to
speaking-
even be a person named Karen, but there's women and men that act like Karens.
Yeah. What would be like the male equivalent of Karen? What would the name be?
I like this shot. Remember this picture I sent you?
Yes. I think I sent that to you.
No, I sent it to you.
No, that's not true.
Yeah,
I totally
it was on
sent
my
that to you.
side. The right is my side.
Yeah,
the
you
left
just
is your
resent
side.
it back to me. That's what happened.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you want to hit some shower thoughts?
Wait, TILs.
Oh, TILs.
I
yeah.
have a couple TILs.
Yeah, TILs.
And then we can do shower thoughts.
TIL it, guys. All right, get ready, folks. Here comes some TILs your way.
Read that first one, because
Today I learned that even though he died in 1994, Kim Il-sung remains president of North Korea. So Kim Jong-un's dad still remains president of North Korea. Or no, wait, his granddad, I think. The Constitution was revised in 1998, declaring him eternal president of the Republic. Interesting. Making North Korea the only
dead person ruling.
Yeah, in the world. A government that still operates under the rules of a dead former leader.
Isn't that wild?
That is wild. I'm trying to think of anything else like that.
And they also declared, did we cover that last time? That they declared a state of emergency because they had reported their first COVID case in North Korea?
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah.
The last one there is not a TIL, and I'm going to read it to you, so don't read it yet.
All right, get it.
Today I learned most Americans support eliminating the penny, but attempts to do so have been stopped by Jardin Zinc Products, the sole provider of zinc penny blanks.
Gross.
Isn't it?
That makes me very frustrated.
I know. I hate pennies. Okay, so this last one, don't read it with me. Just let me read it to you.
Okay.
You're so tempted. I can see it. Amy Adams, so the actress, pretty much everyone knows who she is set to star in Annapurna Pictures, quote, Night Bitch, a dark comedy about a woman. It's just hard to say with a straight face. who, after giving up her career to become a stay-at-home mother, starts to think that she's turning into a dog. like when I read that description, I was like, well, that went south real fast.
That's a total curveball. Starts to think she's turning. Well, so she's got a furry vibe in her.
I guess.
She's got a furry vibe to her. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I'm not going to lie. I'll probably want to watch an episode or two of that and see where that goes. All right. So shower thoughts here. We'll go back and forth.
That sounds good to me.
All right. So first shower thought. Okay. This is a question, a kind of shower thought or question that I had for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hit me. I'm
in
listening.
12 hours, everybody in the world will get their memory erased, including you.
Ooh.
Okay?
Okay.
You're the only person to know this will happen.
Okay.
What would you do before the event occurs?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I think I would try to attempt a way to like record things down that could be like recalled so that things could be restored a little bit, or someone had a chance. Probably wouldn't be our generation. My second thought was like my evil side was like, well, time to purge.
That's so funny. I thought this is what I thought you would say. I thought you would say, okay, I'm going to get as many terabytes of hard drives as I can and download as much of the internet as I can.
Well, so you didn't say any of that's going to disappear.
Right, but you wouldn't know the internet was there.
So how would I get it off the hard drives?
You would write yourself a letter.
Of how to get it off the hard
How to
drives?
get it off the
How
hard
about just
drives?
write myself a letter about the internet?
Yeah, that's true. Because I guess the internet wouldn't just stop working
Right
away.
Yeah.
Eventually it would, maybe.
Maybe.
Because there has to be some maintenance of servers.
Yeah, but it would be around for a little bit. And then maybe people would figure it out. Because would they stop knowing how to talk?
That's a good question. I don't think so.
Would they have like the general ability to know like what things smell like, but not know what to call them?
Ooh, dude. Speaking of
Things like
spells,
Spells.
smells.
Like,
Harry Potter here.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another shower thought that I had that relates to smells.
Good.
The ability to record and replay smells would do wonders for bringing back old, forgotten memories.
For serious. Like dreams.
Guys, isn't that a fascinating thought?
Yes.
All right, hit me with 2 of your shower thoughts.
Okay. Zombies are portrayed as weak, but they also can apparently break through a coffin and climb up through 6 feet of dirt.
That's a great point. That's an incredible point.
I know.
I think in that situation they're playing...
Folks, that's real things I would think about in the shower.
I think they're playing the long game.
Yeah.
Like when a zombie's like slowly scratching
Maybe that's why
at
they're
it.
weak.
Yeah.
They hurt themselves getting out.
They got wore out. Yeah. That's a good point.
The chocolate milk that forms whilst eating, I love that it has whilst in it, whilst eating Cocoa Pops is better than most chocolate milk on the market.
Very true. Very true. It's probably a higher sugar content.
Probably. And less chocolate.
Yeah. All right.
It's true.
When the first child is born on Mars, our passports will have to include our planet of birth.
Oh, yes. That's awesome.
Isn't that kind of cool?
Yeah.
Planet of Mars.
I don't know we'll even have passports by then. There'd be universal ID.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think there's definitely will be because Elon's going fast. Also, did you know how many kids Elon has?
I don't even want
I
to
was
even
baffled.
try to
I
guess.
think he has at least 7.
That's not, if to be that excited, I
But
would
like
say
somebody
way
that
more than
devotes that much time to like businesses and all this
Yeah,
stuff, I
but
wouldn't
I mean,
think he would be trying to pop out
Didn't he
kids.
come from money? That dude explored.
No,
And
he didn't come from a bunch of money.
I thought he did.
No, I think he was from just like a middle class from South Africa.
Huh. Well,
Yeah.
good for him.
Yeah. Anyways.
Well.
All right, hit me.
An actor has truly made it when a minor role is considered a cameo.
Yeah, that's funny. Interesting. Flashbangs are twice as effective to people with epilepsy.
Oh gosh. Especially, do flashbangs like? As far as I know, they don't flicker.
No, it's like one big like.
Oh man.
I think. I guess there's different probably versions of it or something like that.
Marriage is the ultimate co-op game.
Ooh. Yeah. Ooh, or co-op Yeah.
I'm dying over here. I'm dying over here. Stay alive in the corner.
Yeah.
Get to
Yeah.
safety.
Okay. We pay the zoo to look. We pay the zoo so we can look at a bunch of stolen property.
So true.
That's hilarious. I love that.
Oh my gosh. More stupid people claim to be intelligent than intelligent people.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. Okay, last one I got.
Okay.
If we would begin to bald from the sides first, we wouldn't worry as much.
It's
That's
so true.
That's a really interesting concept. Like,
Why?
I don't think I've ever seen somebody bald from the sides of their heads.
They just... well,
First.
maybe you have. Maybe we have, and they just don't tell us, and they have a rockin' mohawk.
Maybe. I guess it could happen. I've never.
Or troll doll
Seen it.
hair.
Yeah.
Like they just grew... that was just... If you grew it long, you would just be...
Yeah, I've
the
seen that
human
on
equivalent
the
of a
Goonies.
troll
I've seen
doll.
that on the Goonies with
Yeah.
the whatever that monster's dude name
Yeah.
was.
Okay,
All right, one last
one here. If chickens are closely related to dinosaurs, chicken tastes like dinosaurs.
Very true. Ooh, dinosaurs taste delicious.
I know. That's why they're gone.
Everything tastes like dinosaurs.
And dino nuggets.
Dino nuggets. I eat those all the time.
I'm
Delicious.
sure you do. You say you buy them for your kids, but really you just like a pan full at a time.
So fantastic. All right, guys. Thanks for listening to episode number 68.
68.
Hopefully you have a great week.
Next week will be full of jokes.
Full of ha-has. All right, guys. Peace out. Have a good week. Stay safe out there.
See
Stay
ya.
classy, San Diego.